I'm going to now focus a little while in talking about chatbots. I'm going to start off with talking about how chatbots are transforming the business models. I guess everybody knows what a chatbot is, but the one thing I really want to focus on over here is that chatbots are now becoming an integral part of the business, such that more and more businesses are using automation and a chatbot feature to engage with their consumers. And this is for everything from customer service to managing transaction, and also to promote content of that business. Incidentally, if we move into the next slide, Anjan, if you don't mind, you can see the use cases that I've mentioned over here, which is order transaction management, customer support, technical support, concierge services, financial consulting, and virtual assistants, and the sectors that we have done. Well, technically, these are some of the more traditional use cases, to be honest with you. In today's environment, we're beginning to see that the use of chatbots is going beyond just engaging with your external customers, but also internally engaging with your customers. We are in discussions with certain organizations for building chatbots to automate or to manage the transaction or the transaction between human resources department and its employees. So you can begin to see now, how chatbots are morphing its way into different areas of the business. It was initially created for external conversations, but it's now increasingly being used for internal conversations, for HR, for IT support, and so forth and so on. Let's very quickly take a look at how chatbots work. Chatbots are purpose created. These are chatbots which are created for a specific purpose, and there are two ways in which you could create a chatbot. The more traditional approach is the rule-based approach, where you have a predefined set of options and a predefined set of questions, and then these are within a design parameters, and based on that you ask a question and you get a response. This is more like a traditional Excel sheet where you have the questions predefined and you have the answers predefined. But increasingly, chatbots are becoming more and more sophisticated, and they're using data science techniques like NLP, which is natural language processing, sentiment analysis, and deep learning, in order for the chatbot to be able to have a cognitive conversation with the user, and an engaging conversation with the user. And we'll be explaining and deep diving a little bit more into the cognitive functionality of chatbots, specifically using the Watson services, in a short while. So I'm going to end my part of the presentation today by just very quickly running you through the steps to creating a successful chatbot. This is a very high-level overview, the functional overview of creating a successful chatbot. And from here on, Anjan is going to take over and give you an overview of the technical elements and the technical details of how to create a chatbot. So to start off with, first, you need to definitely identify what is the problem or the use case for your chatbot. The next step is to choose a channel for your chatbot to work on. And there are multiple channels that you can choose, which is Facebook Messenger, Skype, Slack, etc. You then choose a service on which you're going to build your chatbot. There are, again, multiple services. There's the Azure bot service, the IBM Watson service, the Motion AI service, and so forth and so on. For this presentation, we'll be focusing completely on the IBM Watson services. You then emulate the conversations, and you then train and retrain your robots. Essentially, yes, it is artificial intelligence, but that doesn't mean that a chatbot will begin to function on its own. It needs to be trained and retrained a bit. But then again, once it is trained and retrained, it does have the machine learning element where it learns and is able to then respond. And you'll begin to see that when we deep dive into the demo. You then test your application, and once you've tested it and you're fairly confident that your chatbot works, is giving you the desired results, at least to start with the initial set of results, you launch it. And then this becomes then an iterative process going forward. So with that, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Anjan, and Anjan is going to do a quick deep dive into how to build a chatbot using the IBM Watson Conversation and IBM services. So Anjan, it's all over to you now.
Thanks, Aldrin. So, good morning, everyone, once again. So, you already got my introduction that I'm a senior software engineer working in Third Eye, and my expertise is in IBM Bluemix platform and Watson services. Now, as Aldrin told, like we have lots of services to go with, as for example, Microsoft Azure or Amazon AWS or IBM Bluemix Watson. But I want to give a brief background why I actually choose the IBM Watson and Bluemix platform. So we already know about IBM. It's a very old company. They actually bought the first computer in our human world. And one thing I actually found in IBM about IBM Watson services, that's its cognitive services. Their cognitive services are very strong with compared to other services, like Google Cloud or Amazon AWS. But I don't want to mean they are bad. They are also very fine, but but IBM's cognitive services is one of the best that I have seen in the market, and it really helps you to build whatever application that you have in mind with very simple steps. So let's start into the technologies that we have used. So the first technology, this obviously IBM Watson Conversation Services. So this is a service that is provided by IBM Bluemix platform, and this is one of the NoSQL DB. I will explain later why I have used the NoSQL DB, but at a very high level, I want to tell we have used this as a storage purpose, so that if you ask some question to the chatbot, so that it can retrieve the data from the database and show you the answer. So next is, what are the prerequisites? Sorry. So first of all, you need to have an IBM Bluemix account to create the Watson Conversation service, and also the uh, Cloud and DB services and everything. So Cloud and DB is nothing but like it is specifically CouchDB. It is like fully supported by IBM. So if you are familiar with Apache CouchDB, so all the formats, all the syntax, everything are same. So that's why we actually chose the Cloud and DB over here, because we want to have a NoSQL or unstructured database to work with. We wanted to see how we can actually directly interact with the NoSQL DB with Watson Conversation instead of a linear or structure or DBMS. And next, what we have used a Cloud Foundry application that is provided by IBM, and we have used Node.js SDK for our front-end application. But in this session, I'm not going to talk about the Node.js or the front-end services. And the next one is we have used, it is a Python Flask application. So we have used that application as an API. So whatever user will give input to the chatbot, the same thing we are going to hit to this Python Flask application, and it actually interact with the Watson Conversation service and get the answer from the database or from the Watson Conversation services. So let me talk about a bit on Watson Conversation. So what is this? So Aldrin already explained that what is a chatbot. It is totally an AI based or cognitive services based system, which an industry are rapidly adapting this system in order to support their consumers or customers. So you can actually build a kind of chatbot, so that that you can give users all the information without having a physical human being to be present. We really don't need a physical human being to be present in front of your chatbot 24 across 7 down the clock, but we can design a conversation, and we can actually build a kind of historical data based on the questions that we had in the past, and we can build our own conversation so that it can actually answer everything. And the second part is natural language. Okay, I think I am getting some questions, and yes, we'll go through the questions. Just to give me some time, let me finish this overview of Watson conversation. So the second thing is natural language understanding. I want to talk a bit about natural language understanding. So what is natural language understanding? So it's a process by which a machine can understand a people's language. For example, if I talk to machine, hi, how are you? Or what's up? Or how you are doing today? So all these things are same. I mean, my intent is to ask about that person or that application. So this kind of understanding, so these days all these services are able to recognize that what is your intent. So this thing is actually called the natural language understanding, so that a human being can interact with the machine very easily. Then the next is we have an option to train our conversation. For example, first we have to gather the requirement for what is your purpose to build a chatbot. For example, you can say customer support. Okay. Now, what kind of customer support? For a banking system, it might be some questions related to their account, some questions related to some home loan or a car loan. So those kind of questions, people might ask to conversation. But for example, if you build a conversation or a chatbot just to answer question related to home loans, now you can see later that people are also asking about car loans. So what you will do, you have to train that conversation so that it can also reply to the questions about the car loan. And the last point is cognitive services. So this is completely AI based system. So when I told about the three example, hey, what's up? How are you? What are you doing today? So all these questions are actually have the same intent. I'm trying to ask the person about their what's going on. So this is the thing. So if you are building an application, the machine has to understand your intent, your questions, and that is completely AI based system. So this is all about not all, but I covered some part of Watson conversation. Now at least you understood like what the purpose of this Watson conversation. Now let me go to the questions. I believe I already got some questions. Okay, I joined little. Yes, okay. So Aldrin already responded to your question. Thanks, Aldrin. So,
Yeah, I guess Anjan, the next
yeah.
question is how do you expedite the chatbot's training process? I believe what we can do is let's go through the presentation, and then we can. I guess this question is going to be answered, Andrew. Just for your information, this question will be answered when we go into the actual training element of how do you train a chatbot. So go ahead, Anjan, please.
Okay, thank you, Aldrin. So let me start with the Watson conversation components. So there are basically three components in Watson conversation. First is intents, second is entities, and third is dialogue. So let me tell you what are the intents. So for one of the example that I already gave you, and intents are basically a kind of verb. You can say, for example, play the music. So play. So that is my intent. What the user are actually expressed, what they are trying to achieve. So those kind of things comes under the intents. So play the music, run the program, search flight between San Francisco to Dallas. So this search, play, run all comes under intents. And next is entities. So entities are nothing but it's basically the noun part of a sentence. For example, play the music. So the music actually will become a entity, or run the program. Program will become a part of entities. And the last thing is dialogue. So dialogue is nothing but how the conversation flow will go. So for example, suppose you are starting with, hi, how are you? Then it will respond, yes, I'm doing good. What about you? And that's, I'm doing good. Thanks. Can you help me to find this? Now, user can ask several type of question, and based on your question, it has a several flow, and you can think it as a tree structure. So based on user input, it will check certain conditions. If it evaluates true, it takes certain branch, or if it evaluate false, it will take some other direction. Now let me actually show you the application. So before showing, let me give you a bit background about the chatbot that we are going to show here. So we actually offer some internship program to the college graduates or the people who are doing their final year. And the objective of this chatbot is to, if any student will come to our website, if they are interested about the internship program, they can have multiple questions. They can actually ask the questions in the Watson conversation, in the chatbot itself, and it will actually answer all the questions that they have. So first let me show you the front end part of our chatbot, then I'll go to Watson conversation part. So whenever a user will log into this website, we'll have this kind of all the information over here. Even if this days, if you go to some website, you might find something like here, can I help you, or something like that. So those are nothing but basically a chatbot. So this is the interface, and here we are going to ask the questions. But before going to before asking the question, let me go to that Watson conversation part. So I actually already told there are three components of a Watson conversation. The first is intents. Intent is nothing but is basically the user's expression, or you can say kind of verb. The second one is entities. So entities are nothing but it is the noun part of the sentence. And third one is dialogue. So dialogue is how your actually conversation goes. So let me first start with the intents. So and also at the same thing. So here I actually uh, showed you that we can actually build a chatbot with 6 simple steps. So the very first thing, you need an IBM Bluemix account, and you really don't have to worry about money for the first time because it is completely free. And then you have to, once you create that IBM Bluemix uh, account, then you have to log in and create a Watson conversation services, and you have an option to choose between free or standard plan. But if you just want to give a try, then I think free version is more than enough. And the next, once you choose that plan, you will get an create option over there. You have to click on create button, and it will actually create a workspace for you. So workspace is nothing but is, you can think it as a placeholder where you will actually design your conversation. Now next is like, you have to define some intents that I already explained. What is the intent? So intent is purpose or goal of an user input. And the second thing is entities. Entities is nothing but this is the noun part of a sentence. And third one is dialogue, where you actually have to build the conversation flow. So let me go back here and go back here. Okay, so here, once you create the Watson conversation services, then if you click on the create button, you will actually land to this page. Okay, and you have option here to create the workspace. This is a sample that comes by default, and it is provided by the IBM just for the understanding purpose. If you are very new to this, you can actually use this one, and I would recommend, because this is very good and it provides lots of information so that you actually understand how it works. And then you can click here or you can click here to create a new workspace, and you have to provide a name to the workspace. Here you can see I have provided the name Uber underscore data answer. And once you created this one, you just have to click on this, and it will land into this page. And here you can see I have already created the intents, entities, and dialogues. But if you want to create a new intent, you just have to put it here, and you have to give a name over here. And another thing is that the intent name, it always start with hash. So it is always prefixed with a hash mark. Now you have to add some example over here. Just like this is a test intent, test chat, something like that. So this is how you have to provide some example so that its cognitive service actually understand what kind of intent this sentences represent. And IBM Watson Conversation always recommends to give at least 5 examples so that it can train its artificial intelligence or cognitive services in a better way. So once you are done, you can just click on done. And another thing is like, whenever you did this, then it obviously will have some question, then what is going on. So one interesting part, if you go at this time to the dialogue part, you will see that an option over here that Watson training is in progress. If you had that opened simultaneously when you are creating intent. So I really don't need this intent, so I'm going to delete it right now. But here you can see that I already told this chatbot is intended for the students who can come and ask their question. So the very first thing they can ask about the program. So I defined intent, that is program query, and I actually gave lots of example over there so that this system actually understand and this system can train itself in much better way. But IBM Watson Conversation always recommends to give at least 5 examples. So These are the intents. Next is entities. Now, for our chatbot purpose, we have some categories, like we actually offer the internship in two category, that is in data science track and also in data engineering tracks. And we have some category those are common to both, so that means those are the things that has to be learned by both data engineering intern as well as data science interns. And here are the technologies that we are going to teach them. So I defined everything under these categories. So these are the nouns. And next is dialogue. So dialogue is the most important part where you have to design your conversation flow. Now you will, when I told you, like when I told you earlier, when we are building the conversation dialogue, it actually follows a kind of tree structure. It checks for certain condition, and based on that it gives us output. Then you might have questioned, what are those conditions? So those conditions are nothing but this intents and entities. So here you can see, like this is one of the condition, and all this box you can see, these are called nodes. So if Watson conversation will detect your intent is to identify yourself, that means I am asking the chatbot, hey, who are you? Then it will actually come to this box and it will give you the answer like this. Hello, I am chatbot for giving you the information regarding third eyes Uber internship program. And I defined that intent over here. So I already placed 7 examples over here under this intent. And even if one thing you can see that if I if I defined all these 7 sentences and I don't ask the exact same question, but still it will be able to identify that I'm actually looking for this identify yourself intent. For example, if I just write who, see, it actually able to map this thing to identify yourself intent. But if you think, okay, it should not go under here, it would go under somewhere, then you have an option to train that conversation. I'll come that part later.
Anjan, at the interest of time, shall we move forward with the demo? It's already 11:10
Uh,
or 11:07.
okay, okay, sorry. So uh, so this is how you will actually build the dialogue, and and you have to define everything. And there is some concept that is called context. So context is nothing but it actually a kind of variable which actually helps you to interact with your application. So this is, you can see these are the variables that we use to move data back and forth between the application and the Watson conversation. Now let me go to the demo part over here, and also another thing over here. Okay, so this was my next slide, that context variable. So this is very important. So in every node you have an option to define that context variable. And how we use context variable, that is to capture the user information. For example, if you tell that I'm looking for flight between San Francisco and Dallas, So I have to capture those two information, SFO and Dallas, so that I can actually hit our database and get the data. So let me show you this thing. So once you log in, it will actually gives you a welcome message, and I can actually ask some question like hi, and it is going to again greet us like this. And now I can ask, I am interested for this program, and it will actually tell you how to fill up that how you can actually register for this program. And next I can ask what are the courses under data. And another thing is like we I already told that we offered the two tracks, what is data engineering and the data science. You also have an option, you know, uh, like to actually give some get some information based on some input. For example, here you can see that I mentioned D over here, which is actually means for data engineering, but it's still asking you for your confirmation that what exactly you are looking for. Now if I write again D over here, it will actually give you, yes, this program is available under our internship program. Now I can write data engineering. Sorry. Okay, so just a second, I think.
Anjan, I guess we need to go back and train the system a little bit more.
No.
Efforts. I'm just kidding.
So the thing is like one of the services was down earlier. Okay, so I can write I am interested. Okay, tell me about this, sorry, program. So here it actually tells you about the program. Now I can actually mention the data engineering track, and you can see it is responding that it is telling you like you can ask what are the courses available under data engineering track, what are the topics available under data engineering track. So if I just look for the courses, then it will actually give us the list of courses that we actually offer as part of our internship program. And here, for example, if I am looking for Apache Spark, it will actually give me what are the topics available under Apache Spark. And another beautiful thing is that this answer has the hyperlink itself, so that if you click on that, it will actually take you to that part where you get all the details about this Spark topic. So this is how it actually works. And you can see here this sorry, I here. So at last you can put thanks, welcome, hope you have found what you are looking for. Now how this system actually interacts with the Watson conversation. So we actually already told you that we have a Python Flux program that is running in the behind, and we have created a kind of API over there. So this is what you can see, like this is the API. If I just run this, you can see the text, and this is the welcome message that you get once you log into the system. And if I pass hi over here, you can see it actually give a JSON, it's JSON back to the front end system, and we are actually reading the data from here, you can see, and this gives us all the information related to the node, and we can use all this information. You can see the context over here, which actually holds the state of a node or the user input that we need to retrieve the data from the system under this variable. So this is how the system actually works, you know. And the next part is to train the conversation. So I think we already got this question. So let me go and show you how we can actually train this conversation. So if you are in this workspace, you can see an option on your left, that is the fourth option from the top, improve. And if you click here, you can see that it actually stores all the conversation for last 90 days. Here you can see over here. Now, for example, here you can see that currently this one is evaluated as irrelevant. Okay, and because I just put it D, you can see it actually understood that the entity I am looking for is data engineering, but it did not understand that what intent it is. So to train that system, what you need to do, you just have to click over here. So currently you can see this is a default intent that is provided by the IBM, but here I can actually go and I can actually map it to program query. And if I click on save, you can see here, see the Watson is training. So once I actually map this TE under program query, so next time when you will run, it will actually able to tell you that how you are intended to search for data engineering track. So this is how you will actually train the system, and once this training is done, you will be able to see that now it is responding to your query correctly. So this is how the training part is being done. And another thing is like uh, it is the most unique feature that is offered by IBM Watson Conversation services, and I did not find it for any other services. And the thing is that it map actually the new queries to proper intent. I just show you the example. The word D was earlier showing as irrelevant, but currently it is actually showing under program query intent, and it actually holds 90 days of history data. So you really don't have to train that system very often. Once in a month is this, that would be fine. And we also have an option to create a new entities based on user query. For example, if you get some questions, that is not actual, that doesn't belong to any of the intent, so you can actually create a new intent and you can simply map that intent to that new intent that you created. Okay, so this is how you will, so once you create the new intent, it will come under this list and you just have to map that intent. So this is how you will actually train your conversation. And hello, uh, hello. And the next is the further enhancement that, so Eldin already spoke that, that we already work for IDB that has office around the world, and most of the people are from Latin America, so they use Spanish, they use Portuguese. So in order to interact with the system, we had to build a chatbot that supports both English, Spanish, as well as Portuguese. So we actually used the Watson language translator service so that people can actually interact with the system using their mother tongue or native language. And uh, the next thing is the next thing is to like speech to text that we can use actually, uh, to make that system voice interactive so that you can actually ask some questions over there and it will actually show you the answer, or it will actually give you a voice response back. And the next is the tone analyzer. So tone analyzer, it is another service offered by IBM Watson, that is like it actually understand the user's impression, whether that person is happy or that person is angry, and based on that it actually, responds back to the user, or if it actually escalate to a actual human being so that they can handle. And another thing is natural language classifier, and this is a bit different from natural language understanding. For example, if suppose there is a FMCG company and that have multiple line of products. Now if you ask some questions, it has to classify your question whether you are looking for a skin product or whether you are looking for a medical instrument, something like that, and based on it, it will actually answer your questions. So these are the further enhancement we can actually do over this conversation. And next is the references. So here are the references you have. You can actually go over there, you can read the documentation,